Hi, I just wanted to provide a quick update to the tagging tickets with LLMs. So this video is going to be a continuation of that and serve as a supporting illustration for a LinkedIn Learning article. Um, so just as a refresher, um, and we'll also have a link to the other video in the description. But in a previous article, we went through the process of extracting these tags from this fake customer service data and having the LLM label it based on this conversation. And then over here, we had it. And then over here, we extracted these columns, which now we're going to use today and build a dashboard with. So the ones in particular we're going to be using are these primary and secondary summaries and explanations. So to get started, as always, first we just import the libraries we need. And then after we have those, or sorry, we install, and then after we have those, we go ahead and import those libraries. And then down here, we're just connecting this to this sheet so we can get that information that was stored in that other script on that sheet into this one. So we save that in our data frame. And down here, I just wanted to show generally like how at least this visualization in Plotly works and how it's put together. Uh, so to begin with, we first um, get our Sunburst data. So we get a count of the primary tags. We group it by the primary and secondary tags, and then we get a count of those. And then here's where we're actually defining our figure. So here we're using this Sunburst data that we got up here. We're saying the path we wanted to go is LLM primary and LLM secondary, and we'll see a little bit more of what that means in a second. And when the values we want is count, and the title we want is distribution, here's the size, and we want totals for the branch values. And this is just doing some formatting. And then finally here we show the actual visualization. So the primary path, or sorry, the path. So like the first path that you have is what's going to be listed first, and the second path is what's going to go under that second path. So here where you see primary quality, primary product quality, and then you have 16, 12, none, or sorry, 16, 12, 4, and 1, then these are the issues that belong to this product quality. Um, so by here it's saying like, okay, rows where we find this, we're going to include the counts of the rows where we find these other ones. And then here we have a total of the summary here for the product quality, and here we have a total of the product quality for these other category buckets. So now that we've seen a little bit how that works, down here we're just gonna define our app, and this is where we're actually gonna make the dashboard that we're gonna be using, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But first, I just want to talk about like sort of like what this is. I want to show you what this is and why it might be useful. So if we go down here, then now we have like a title, we have our Sunburst distribution, and if we scroll down further, then we can see a couple more sections that don't have any information associated with them right now. And we'll get more into why that is in a second. But to start, let's look at our Sunburst plot again. And one thing that's cool about Sunburst plots, especially with Plotly, is that you can sort of look at the information from a drilled down point of view. So now I can turn this starburst graph into a smaller starburst graph by clicking on the enter category. So if I wanted to click on shipping and delivery, then now I'll only see shipping delivery, and then if I hover over this text up here, I get the count of that. And if I hover down here, then I have the main count. If I hover down here, then I have the main count. So if you're looking at this and you're all like, oh, like this is like a little bit cumbersome and it's kind of hard to see, then you can always click on the individual category to get a more detailed view. Now, this is native in the Starburst plot on its own, but sort of the reason I want to show the app is because I want to show some of the functionality that you can work and sort of how you can get a more customized view than what you may be used to. So one thing that you'll see now is now you'll see we have this documentation gaps here. And if we click on the outside portions now, then it will change and filter it to the documentation gaps and these secondary issues. So now, so before when we just had documentation gap, it was looking for all these issues down here in the documentation gap, but once I clicked on insufficient online resources, then this shortens to only show me the categories and the insufficient online resources, and it also filters that up here. Now, in addition to that, another thing I can do is click on this data. And what that will do is give me a more detailed view down here. So it's not as apparent because we don't have as many columns in this data. But let's say we had a table that we wanted a lot of information for, but the explanation columns here are relatively long. So one thing we might want to do is have this column be truncated so it doesn't take up so much space so we can see the other columns in the table. But we might still want to get a deeper view. So whenever we click on this, then we can get a deeper view of this data and see what actually is there. We could also make it like into sort of like a CRM tool. Really like the possibilities are kind of very expansive with this setup and with this data. Um, so another thing too is that you'll notice that there's 8 issues here. So by default, this paginates to only five rows per page. So I can always go to this other page. Now I'm on page 2, and the same way that I was looking at data there, I can always look at data here. So now when I click on here, I should see the customer's having trouble with the instructions, and now I see the customer's having trouble with the instructions. So the data's still matching. And then if we ever want to go back, then we can always just click on that main issue again, and it'll go back, and I can then go into any other one of these issues and also drill down into what those issues mean and some stuff that we might want to know about it. So I won't go through all this, but I just want to give a brief overview of sort of how this works and the callbacks work. So right here where it says selected data, if we put that in a search and we go up, um, then we'll see this HTML row with this ID here. And what this does is it's going to add a child element to that. And then under that child element, it's going to place this code. So basically, this is just going to look for that the active cell that we're clicking on, and then locate the row that active cell's on, and from there return the data associated with that row. And that's done through the call. The logic here is done through the callback, and then the actual place where it's rendered is up here in the HTML div. And then of course we also have some other style change, but really like the main thing here is just setting up this app, um, linking our callbacks correctly, and then having our app run here so we get the output. Now I made this relatively simple, but there is a lot more you can do with Plotly and Dash in general. So you could also make this like a multi-page app if you had like different pages you want the data on. Um, there's just like a lot you can do here. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed this tool and tutorial. And let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. Thank you.